Check it out.
Escape reality with Matt Z.
Well, Dak, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellent.
Let's get this motherfucking show on the road.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode on Off the Dome podcast. This is one I've been looking forward to. Mr. Nasty Nate Nixon is in the motherfucking building. Thank you so much for coming, man. I'm so excited to have you on this podcast.
Thank you.
This has been such a long time in the making. First things first, man. How are you enjoying Alberta? This is it's a crazy time to be living here.
Fantastic. Restrictions are lifted, so wrestling shows are in full attendance now. The weather's miserable. Yesterday it was freezing. Today I didn't have to wear a winter jacket. So why do I live where the air hurts my face? Because it's where I was born. But hey, can't complain. It's Alberta. It's fantastic.
How has COVID affected the wrestling industry?
Lots of ways. So living in Alberta, we've been very, very lucky. Because when the first shutdowns happened, like everything, we were shut down for, March 2020, everything happened. We were shut down until I think June or July. But then we were allowed to open with shows running at 100 fan capacity. And surprisingly, we did not as bad as I thought.
Really?
There was 50 plus people at these shows.
Oh shit.
And now it's crazy to say that because the last show I wrestled at before the pandemic was a show in Radway, small town. Radway's amazing. So it's a small town. Mm-hmm. They don't have a lot going on. So when wrestling comes,
it gets
they
huge, eh?
pack the venue.
Fuck.
So they had their agricultural center packed with. It had to be at least 400 people.
Holy
shit. And I'll never forget, it was where I was wrestling MRB, and these crazy country hicks start chanting, "We want blood." He slaps me in the face at one point. We're on the top turnbuckle. He slaps me. I slap him back, and they start chanting, "We want blood. We want blood." And I'm like, "Y'all ain't getting my blood." So I slap MRB trying to make his happen, and he doesn't come. But anyways, so one of my favorite shows ever. But anyways, that was the last show before COVID that I did, and that had at least 400 people.
Yeah.
So you go from that to wrestling in front of 50.
Yeah. How long of a break was it in between?
It was March until I think June or July.
Okay, so
June or July.
4 or 5
months. So it was a decent break. But yeah, it really made you appreciate, and it really changed how we wrestled because on TV there was a lot of no wrestling in front of fans, whereas with us we didn't quite have no fans, but there was minimal fans.
Yeah.
So you don't get the same reactions. You do things and you don't get the same. So it definitely changed a lot of how we wrestled. You know what I mean? You don't have that crowd to feed off of as much.
Yeah.
So you got to find that within what you're feeding off of, you know? So it was definitely an adjustment, but I'm so happy to have people back because the fans are what make it. That's what makes wrestling. It's the only sport. It's the only thing where you pay your money, go to the event, and you're allowed to say, "Nasty Nate, you suck and I hate you."
Yeah.
You go to a comedy show, you say that to whoever, you're getting tossed.
Yeah.
You go to the hockey game and you get a little too belligerent, eventually you're getting tossed.
Yeah.
Bro, sit down, take it easy. You go to a drag show and yell at the drag queen, "All right, sit down, bro, take it easy." What do you do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas with this, come out, literally start chanting "Nasty Nate sucks" or whatever, and hey, I just got to deal with it and roll with it. You know what I mean? But so happy to have people back.
Fuck, man, that's so happy to be back. I know, even just what's the biggest crowd you've done? Was the 400 the biggest?
I think that might be. Yeah. I did one show in Winnipeg. I'm actually going back to Winnipeg April 15th for WPW. They're called, one of the best promotions I've been a part of. And it was a bar. It might have been around the same 400, but that felt more closed in because the Radway Agricultural Center was a big open area.
Yeah.
So it felt a lot more it felt big.
Yeah.
Whereas this bar, it's called the Sherbrooke Inn, which, to give you an idea, it's like the Black Dog of Edmonton.
Oh, yeah.
So it's dingy, gross, grimy, small. And so they sold out, which I think was around the 400 mark, but it was people a foot away from the ring.
Holy shit.
So they were on top of you, breathing on you. It was crazy. When I walked to the ring, you're literally pushing fans aside because they put tape around the ring 2 feet away from the ring saying fans aren't supposed to go in there.
Yeah.
But they did. Yeah. And so literally they were on top of you. Someone chops me and my sweat flies off and it literally lands on the guy in the front row.
Shit.
That might have been the same number, but just different experience. Bar everyone on top of you. It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh,
Really good
fuck,
stuff.
man. That would be so much fun just to have, like, such a live experience like that. I feel like that's something that a lot of people miss nowadays. Like, I know a few of my buddies, they, like when I was working at a job, and they were, like, I don't know, 18 years old when COVID hit. And by the time COVID ended, they were, like, 19, 20. It's like they didn't experience that year in 18 where you do some stupid shit, you fuck up. It's such a weird thing, yeah.
I had an employee, one of my employees who I hired, it happened when he was 17, so he missed graduation. He missed a bunch of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But hey, I'm just like, bro, make up for it now.
Make up for it now,
you know?
Make up for it now.
Get
Well,
back to it.
Even, like, now, like, so, like, I have a coworker right now, and so he's gay. And, like, so during high school, and even after high school, he was so timid and just, like, removed himself because he never felt comfortable with who he was.
Yeah.
But now he's older than me. He's 26 now. But he's at the point where he feels comfortable with who he is now.
Yeah.
He's been able to come out and, like, accept who he is and love who he is. And now he's like, fuck it, man. Like, I want to do the stuff I wanted to do when I was 18, but I didn't have the confidence to go and do it. I'm like, dude, go do that stuff. You have to go do that stuff in life to do this stuff. And I feel like it's just such an important aspect in life to go out there and, like, fuck up. Like, I know society's like, oh, be like, protect yourself, do this, like, don't be dumb. But I'm like, no, you gotta be dumb. You gotta be dumb. You gotta do stuff you don't want to do.
You gotta make mistakes to live from. You gotta face adversity, all that.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. One of the things that, like with myself, I managed a jewelry store for a year, Michael Hill Jewelers. I managed that for a year. It was an awful, awful experience.
Yeah.
I hated every minute of it. But if it wasn't for working there, I wouldn't have learned all the skills I did to get me to be a manager at Popeye Supplements now.
Yeah.
Whereas because of all the stuff I learned there, I walked into the interview at Popeye Supplements and literally told them, like, I'm coming on because I want to be a manager here.
Yeah.
I have skills that I can bring to you that is better than I can almost guarantee any of your managers.
Yeah.
Was I a little bit of a cocky prick at the time? Yeah. But
Why
hey,
not,
clearly
though?
it worked
It
out.
worked.
You know what I mean? And then, but because of that, if I wasn't miserable at Michael Hill, I wouldn't have wanted to be happy and gotten into wrestling. Because I needed to be truly miserable like that to realize, like, oh crap, I gotta go and do this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And now after working that, I've said, like, it's a thing for me. I'm never gonna let myself be that miserable again.
Yeah.
Whether it's a job, whatever it is, I had a job after Michael Hill where I worked at Visions Electronics. I thought maybe that could be the big job for me, but it sucked.
Yeah.
And I just had a thing where it's like, this is feeling like Michael Hill.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quit. So I quit. I ended up getting a job at David's Tea. David's Tea, I made minimum wage. But you know what? I was having fun. I was enjoying it, and I could go to work, and I didn't have anxiety. There was days with Michael Hill where I hated my job so much. I was driving to Sherwood Park on the Henday, and I do a turnoff. This is messed up. There was legitimately multiple days where I was like, what if I just didn't turn and I just drove straight? You know what I mean? What if I just drove into the ditch?
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, and I was like,
Apparently,
shit.
apparently those thoughts are, like, a lot more common.
I
than you
believe it,
think.
yeah. Like crazy anxiety thoughts. I'm sure there's a
Yeah,
label for
yeah.
it. But like, so I'm sitting there, but then my thought process is like, shit. I would make a big thing out of it. I would get my car would get removed, and I'd have to pay for that. But I'd have to go to work the next day.
Boom. Yeah, you could probably get 3 days off right
Shit,
there.
you know what I mean? So I was like,
absolutely.
But the fact that I'm thinking about this isn't good. So then, that's what made me realize I had to get out of there. And I'm never gonna let myself be that miserable again, no matter what. You know what I mean? Take control of your happiness and things.
Absolutely. And I feel like I'm assuming you found that with pro wrestling, where it's just like, granted, like, there are gonna be stuff in life or times in life you have to do things you don't want to do, and especially when you're pursuing a dream like wrestling, it's like, because that's gonna be like, that's your quote unquote 5 to 9 wrestling. But like your 9 to 5, like, you still have to pay the bills, you still have to provide for yourself, you still have to provide for your loved ones, and it's like, in my perspective, it's work the 9 to 5, and then have a 5 to 9. Which then eventually the 5 to 9 will turn to your 9 to 5. Right?
And that's
so
the
it's
goal
about
right
sacrifices, but
and that's the goal right now. That was my thing when I got into wrestling. Obviously, I want to get signed. I want to win all the championships. But my thing getting into wrestling was I want to do this full time. I want this to be my living. You know what I mean? And so obviously everyone wants to get signed by WWE and AEW and win all the championships. And obviously that's what I want to do. But like, I want to make money. Even that's becoming a big indie guy, and just, but I'm able to do this full time.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet. But even right now, I gotta say, I'm very happy where I'm at. Just like working at Popeye Supplements. I have a fantastic gig I love. I love selling supplements. I love teaching people stuff. It's very rewarding having people come back and tell you, oh man, that thing you told me to take just got me feeling so much better now, blah, 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 blah.
That's true,
Got a
yeah.
really good thing with that. They're very flexible. And then I'm loading myself up on supplements to do the best
There you go,
possible
free
Nasty Nate I
supplements,
can
my man.
possibly be, jacked up and juicy AF, right?
Yeah,
Trying to
absolutely,
be.
my dude. But I think that's just such an important thing in life, though. Just like go through that struggle, go through those things that you don't want to do. And one thing that I've noticed is within the first 5 minutes of you waking up, you know if you love your life or not.
Oh, absolutely.
If your alarm goes
Yeah.
off and you're like, fucking, all right. Granted, like, I'm terrible with my alarm. I hit snooze a lot. But
Nobody
like,
wants to wake up.
Exactly.
But it's how do you feel about approaching the rest of the day?
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Are you excited to get up?
And
Are you
that's the
excited to
thing,
get
yeah.
your
When I
shit
wake
going?
up, I'm excited. Like, I'm maybe not excited to go to work, but you know what I mean? There's not that pit of anxiety of, oh God, I have to. It's,
And that's
well,
the
let's
big
go.
thing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
You
it's
gotta listen to your
finding
gut.
that.
Yeah.
It's like I was saying, like, if you don't, you gotta, YOLO is very cringy, and a lot of people hate it, but I love it because you do only live once,
Yeah.
and you have to chase your dreams. You got to do your thing, whether that's whatever it is. You want to get the thing, do the stuff, do it, chase it, try it, because if you don't, someone else will. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You be the one to do it. Don't let that other person do it.
Yeah.
That's something I solidly, very much believe in. Like if you don't do it, someone else will, and you got no one to blame but you. So go out there and fucking do it.
Go and do
so
it.
at least you know what I mean. Yeah.
How did you get into pro wrestling? Because I feel like that's such a. Granted, I'm a fucking podcaster, so that's unorthodox
Everyone
as
gets
fuck.
into things
But like,
weirdly,
how did
yeah.
you get into
So
pro
for
wrestling?
me, it was through Nate actually. So through Nate, when I was attending Nate, I was doing TV broadcasting, and in the third semester, you produce a weekly news show that airs on CTV2 called Nate News Watch. Probably the cringiest name ever. Nate News Watch. Local news. But it airs on CTV2. Nobody watches it except for the staff, students, and our parents. Because first of all, who gets the CTV2
I
channel?
didn't even know there was a second CTV channel.
Exactly. But hey, it's a big thing they do that makes the students feel like, oh, this is professional, this is cool, we have deadlines, we have to get it in. It doesn't really matter. But that being said, it's a great learning experience. And so part of that is every week, for 8 weeks, we all take different roles in the show, right? So 1 week, for example, someone's the director who sits up in the booth when we're recording and, you know, camera 1, go camera 2,
Yeah.
go camera 3. They're also in charge of getting, you know, 2 stories. For me, I was sports 1 week. And so when you're the sports reporter, you have to do something called an end zone challenge, where basically you go out to something and teach the audience how to do something. So my buddy, Kevin Bain, he basically contacted our buddy Eric Taylor, who pretty sweet local boxer, and taught him how to throw a proper boxing hook.
Yeah.
Just something simple. They went to the boxing gym, and he showed him how to throw a right hook and a jab, or something.
Yeah.
I'm totally getting those wrong. A hook and a jab. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He showed him how to throw those. One girl taught people how to do a slap shot. Kevin's was solid. The boxing one was lame. The slap shot, Kevin's, the boxing one was awesome.
Yeah.
The hockey one was lame. But I was like, hey, I got to do something with this. So I had slowly been getting back into wrestling as an adult because I'd been working at Moore's at the time. And one of the girls there, Nancy was her name, I believe, she liked wrestling. And she would always just put it on the TV.
Oh,
and so
shit,
I
yeah.
hadn't watched wrestling since I was like 12, 11, like
yeah.
Benoit days,
Yeah,
13.
we all go through those.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
hadn't watched it all, but then she just had it on. And I looked, and it was Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns were on a whole bunch. And I was like, interesting. And it started to get me like back into it. I started YouTubing, watching podcasts and stuff. But then anyways, I was with this End Zone Challenge. I was like, is there a way I could do like something with pro wrestling?
Interesting,
So
yeah.
I did some Googling and I asked around, and there was a guy in the semester below me. I was third semester, he was second semester. Alex Brewer. I owe getting into wrestling to Alex Brewer
Yeah.
because I asked him, hey man, do you know of any local promotions? Or he got into contact with me because he heard I can't remember how it happened, but
Yeah.
he told me to get into contact with MPW. So I contact MPW, Monster Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
They do weekend training camps. I contact Massive Damage. And he says, I tell him that I'm part of a news program, what I want to do, everything like that. So he says, come on out for our weekend training camp.
Yeah.
Normally it's $300. I'll let you do it for free. All I ask is that you make us like a 2-minute like commercial if you
Yeah.
can, like some sort of commercial.
Oh, you give me something, I give you something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah.
absolutely, no problem, because
Yeah.
it's marketing, promotional stuff for them.
Yeah.
So we go out there, and it was at Gold's Gym at the time, which it was Gold's Gym Westmount, and that was like, it was so cool.
Oh, that's
'Cause
like
it was,
Crunch Fitness now, isn't it?
it was
I
a
think,
badass
right?
gym, and they had this upstairs area, and
Yeah.
there's 2 wrestling rings up there. 2 wrestling
Really?
rings. And it was so sick because like you could literally get like a sick pump at Gold's Gym, which is like for wrestling, like Gold's Gym is the place.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So you go there and then go up and train. But anyway, so we do that, and yeah, we did the 2-weekend course. I had my classmates Kevin, Fariel, and Sydney come and film, and it was a wild weekend. And after like 6 hours of training, I wrestled a god awful match against the Irishman, where basically I just kind of like it was so bad. It's not a match, but it is a match. So
Yeah.
that's like I have this thing where I'm like, oh, it was such a piece of trash. But at the end of the day, I stumbled through it was literally like a 4-minute thing, a 4-minute match where I got beat by the Irishman. But like, it was a thing. Like
Yeah.
it was a passable. We start. There's a beginning, middle, and end,
Yeah.
and I lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and again, of course, I'm gonna lose within 2 minutes. He's a freaking 300-pound Irishman.
Oh, fuck.
But yeah, and he beat the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But again, we did it. It was done in such a way that makes them look really good. And then at the end, the camera's recording, and I'm all, oh, thanks for tuning into Nate. This pro wrestling thing's harder than it looks for Nate Newswatch. I'm Nathan Spence, and it was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But at that thing, I had lots of guys coming up to me throughout all the training through the 2 days and being like, man, like, you should consider this.
Oh,
Man, like,
really?
you should,
Yeah.
man, like, you're really picking things up naturally. And I had the coach, Massive, you have to do a flat back bump. So you take 2 steps, take a bump. And I picked
That's
it
just
up.
landing
On your back, yeah. And I picked it up really well because I saw how he was doing it, and how he just, no regard, just kicked back and went. And my thinking was, well, if this almost 50-year-old man is doing it, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So just commit and do it. And I loved it because I liked wrestling as a kid.
Yeah.
And I have people telling me, man, you should consider it. You should consider it. And I was like, no, I'm going to be TV broadcasting.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not right. Stepping
Exactly.
in the ring. Yeah.
And then so fast forward, I end up towards the end of my Nate. I end up doing the end zone challenge. It was fantastic. The teacher loved it. I got great marks on it. It was like, I'm biased, obviously, but it was the best end zone challenge that school has ever seen. You
Mic
got
drop.
kids.
Mic drop. Oh, fuck. I'll
fist
pump
pound. I'll
you.
take it. Whatever. But yeah, you go from kids teaching how to shoot a slap shot and like stupid stuff like that to like, here's an intro to professional wrestling.
Yeah.
In the video, Massive, who's famous for his chops, gives me a big, massive chop in the video. Everyone in my class is like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, so I ended up not pursuing it then because in my head at the time, I was like, I'm still going to do TV broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up not doing that. I ended up getting offered money and going to Michael Hill Jewelers. Reason why I did that is because, so with TV broadcasting, they would take us to different, like global news, for example.
Yeah.
It's really discouraging when you go to global news and you want to work in that industry, and every single person they introduce you to, every single person they introduce you to, I'll name names, Gord Steinke, Nancy Carlson, the sports guy who I'm blanking on right now.
Yeah.
Every single person we met on that global news thing made the joke of, we would get issues, oh, these are TV and broadcasting students. Any tips for them? I need to stress this, every single person we met at Global News made the joke, oh, find another industry. Oh, get out of this industry. Oh, go into radio. Oh, get a real job. Oh, do something else.
Why?
Because that was prime transitionary phase. People don't watch news anymore.
True. Yeah.
So you can go onto Amazon right now and you can watch Global Edmonton, Global Calgary, Global whatever. Basically how they do it now is it's much more like centralized, and they film it with like, basically they would go through and they would have a room that does all the graphics for Edmonton. Well, this room is empty now, and all that's done in Toronto. You'd go to another room where they would do editing and stuff like that. Oh, that's not done here now. That's done in Toronto. Oh, that's not done here now. So you have this big, massive global news building that's maybe 15% used. Where so much of it is like there's a big studio. Oh, yeah, we don't use this anymore.
Makes sense, though.
Oh, yeah, we don't use it anymore. Because, again, how do people consume media? People consume podcasts. People consume that. I don't listen to the radio anymore, but I'll listen to my podcast.
Yeah.
If I'm watching news, if I want news, I'm going to scroll Twitter, and I'll find someone who's posted a 2-minute story like they would post on the news, but I'm not appointment viewing, sitting down and watching an hour of the news for the stories. I'm going to scroll through as things are happening and hear about it and watch. Still Global News will post a 2-minute story about it, but I'm going to watch that. I'm not sitting down and watching an hour of news.
Well, especially post-COVID, man.
Oh, especially.
I will never turn to the news because it's just an hour of COVID. And it's like, as much, I'm like all for COVID. I was all for the safety precautions, whatever it is. But it's just like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm tired of hearing Covit. I'm tired of hearing the numbers all the time.
It's the appointment viewing of it, right? It's
Yeah.
how we consume content. People don't. The only thing people appointment view now, the only thing that you can get people to schedule to sit down at a time and watch is live sports.
Yes.
It is the only thing, because if I don't, the result will happen and I'll miss out on the result.
Exactly, yeah.
For a while, we used to say it was politics in sports. Well, now with this last election cycle, we found out that you don't need live politics. Still draw, but not to the extent we thought they would. Why? Because rather than tuning in to watch Tucker Carlson, I can just watch his thing on Facebook or on Twitter. I can watch his 2-minute video, or I can go to YouTube and watch, whatever CBS News posts. I can watch their hour-long broadcast on YouTube at my leisure. I don't have to sit down from 6 to 7 and watch it. I can watch 15 minutes while I'm at work. I can listen to it in the drive home. I can consume it different. And we were at the prime when I was in school. That's when that transition was really just happening. So if I could do it all again, I would do radio broadcasting. Because fast forward to now, podcasting is where it's at.
Yeah.
Because even this is mostly podcast, but you're just recording it.
Yeah,
the audio
so
doesn't
simple.
matter or the video doesn't matter as much.
yeah.
Whereas when you put this out there, if the audio shit, that's instantly where people will tune out. People will watch a video with crap quality and deal with it.
Yeah.
But if the audio's down, I'm checked out.
Yeah, checked
I'm
out, gone.
I'm automatically checked out.
Yeah.
And so we were at that time where it was really this weird transitionary phase. And so you go to these news stations and they're dealing with it. These broadcasters are literally seeing all their best friends get fired, lose their jobs and stuff. They're barely hanging on.
Yeah.
And so I understand why they're like, oh, get another career.
That makes so much
Pick another
sense,
career.
yeah.
So I did. So I was offered the Michael Hill job, took it. Now, that being said, I was so miserable, but it made me realize I don't ever want to be miserable like this again. I'm never going to be miserable like this again. What do I got to do? I got to pursue the thing that I want to do, because if I don't, someone else is going to do it. Fuck it. I'm going to do wrestling.
Yeah.
So fast forward about a year and a half after the original thing in at Nate. Fast forward about a year and a half after that, I'd been working at Michael Hill for a year, and it was the last couple months of me working there, and I started to kill it. I'll be honest. I was struggling at the beginning of Michael Hill, which was part of why I really, really hated it. But then towards my last 6 months, I was slaying it.
Yeah.
I was selling I had a big overage, and doing well is what made me realize I can quit, because I was like, you know what? Like, I can do this. It helped me get confidence back.
Yeah.
Whereas before, when I was really struggling, I was like, bro, I can't sell jewelry. How am I going to sell?
Yeah.
How can I do anything?
Yeah.
It really started to mess with me. Then I got that up.
You get down
and
on
I was
yourself
like,
in your
and I
head,
was
yeah.
like, no, you know what? I can do this. I can do wrestling. You know what? I have to give this a try.
Yeah, why
so
not?
I quit because their hours weren't going to do it for me. Blindsided my boss. I'll never forget.
Oh, really?
Quitting. I'll never forget quitting. He was like a young bro from Ontario, and we were like the two young bros, and like he had been talking about he had been planning stuff, and he was sitting there in the office, and I'd never quit a job before like that. Like the
quitting a job is nerve-wracking.
And so I'll never forget it, because he had his back to me. He had his back to me in our little office, and he was counting cash, and he was doing something. I think he was counting cash, and I was stood there, and I had my resume, or I had my resignation letter, and I was like. And I just breathed, and he's like, yeah, so I think we'll do this. And then, with the training of the staff, he turns around, and I have the piece of paper in my hand, and he just, blah, blah, blah. Oh.
He's like, oh, what's
And he
going
just says,
on
oh.
here?
And he just says, oh. And I said, Brendan, it's been an awesome run. I really like you, but I am so fucking miserable here. I can't do this anymore. And he's like, okay.
And he took it, eh?
Fair enough. And he just took it, because it was the thing with him, and respect to him, it was once I said I was miserable.
Yeah.
It was once I said I was miserable. Now, the funny thing about him, this guy had moved here from Ontario just for this job. He had worked at a Michael Hill there, and they offered him, hey, we'll give you your own store in Alberta. He moved his girlfriend of 3 months. His girlfriend had only been dating 3 months, and they moved out here.
Shit.
Crazy. Fast forward to now, they're married.
There you go.
Crazy.
Worked out then.
Crazy.
Worked out. There you go.
But, this guy devoted so much to it. And I was like, and he seemed so bought into it. I was like, there's no way. Like, how can you actually be but he was.
Yeah.
I quit. 3 months later, he quits.
Really?
And I really, I'm not going to take
Were you guys
it.
close?
We were he's the guy. I spent the most time with this guy.
Yeah.
He was a young bro, he was only 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
But he was kind of he was a robot. He had shark eyes. He was a robot, but he was a machine. You know what I mean? But I hope and I think that, like, because I know he's messaged me like after, like a year after the fact, being like, hey bro, it's so great to see you like still doing wrestling, because I told him I told him at the time, I'm quitting this job to go do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that with them in the community of, like, you know, they were probably like, ugh, this guy, like any job, oh, you're quitting?
To go pursue this?
Idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, except I've actually done it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for him, he had quit after like, I think it was only 3 months, and moved back to Ontario. Because he clearly wasn't happy either.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think and hope that maybe me doing it out of nowhere kind of spurred him into doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it's just, you got to be happy doing whatever you're doing. I was way happier making minimum wage at David's Tea. I wasn't making money. I couldn't afford a lot, but I was happier.
happy.
And that's what I did after. And I could afford to wrestle. I had the flexibility to wrestle.
Yeah.
And so with that, with wrestling, I found a sense of community, a sense of belonging, somewhere that's not work that makes me feel a part of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, I don't even know where we're going off about, but that's kind of where it's most, one of the things that, like, it's given me most is a sense of community, sense of belonging. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and like I was talking to, like, I had a rapper here a few weeks ago, and we were talking about, and he was just like, at the end of the day, it's just like to find that purpose in life and have a fulfilled meaning.
Fulfillment and purpose.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's like, you want to
not
strive.
just waking up to work.
Yeah, it's like, he's like, you want to strive for something that's greater than you, bigger than you, because at the end of the day, if you're going for something that's bigger than you, that means you're growing,
Something
you're
to believe
expanding.
in.
Exactly.
When I'm working
right?
out at the gym and I'm doing my cardios and stuff, before I was wrestling,
Yeah.
it was easy to not go, do the
yeah,
extra stuff,
yeah.
whatever. Hey, I did enough today. I don't need to do the cardio today. Whereas now, I'm like, oh no, I do. Because if I don't do that, there's some other indie guy who is doing that.
Yeah.
If I eat like shit, there's some other indie guy who isn't eating like shit. If I don't do this, there's someone who is. You know
big
what I
time,
mean?
yeah.
So it's just, like, it gives you that purpose, that sense of, like, going for things. And that's why, like, on a complete total side note, that's why, like, the internet in the last couple of years, I'd say, we see a lot of people diving into more, making COVID their personality, whether it's being pro-mask or anti-mask. People are making it, and I'm not going to go either way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak to either way, but I'm just saying, people are making it, this is a thing me and my girlfriend Quinlan talk a lot about, people are making it their personality because it's helping them find a niche, it's helping them find a sense of belonging.
Yeah,
whether
big
you're
time.
anti-mask, or anti-vaccine, whatever, you find a group of people that are like-minded and all believe in similar things with you, and it's a group that's not your work. It's not work. So it's a group outside where people reaffirm, they make you feel good, sense of belonging.
Yep.
Just like to the other extreme, people who are so pro-mask and pro-vaccine and pro-everything.
Yeah.
They have the sounding, but they have all the same people on Twitter, either way, who they put something out there. Oh, I want to be pro-mask forever.
Yeah.
You have 6,000 people liking that. Well, sweet. This is,
Confirmation bias.
It's a sense. It's also a sense of belonging. It's a community of people who think like me, which a lot of people don't have that in their daily lives because they don't. A lot of people go to work, come home, watch TV, and that's it. You know what I mean? They don't have a sense of community, a sense of belonging. So, COVID, either way, whichever way you want to go, has given a lot of people that, I find. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, social media, like we were talking about, has become so polarizing now because it's like, and there's smarter people who can talk about it than us. But, that's just one thing I truly believe or feel like is like there's, it gives you that sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to believe, you can find that sense of community
Yeah.
belonging where everyone will reinforce whatever your thoughts are.
Well, I think that's the
whatever you
biggest thing, the
want.
reinforcing of it, like confirmation bias. And it's like, if you watch American politics for 30 seconds, like, you'll get it right away. It's red
crazy.
versus blue. It's left versus right.
Whereas with me,
It's fucked.
I've been lucky enough to have a wrestling community where, again, if you want, we can talk about that. But it's a sense of belonging for me where I feel included and a sense of community that's nothing to do with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like more people need that. My girlfriend Quinlan played roller derby for a long time.
That's
Again,
interesting, yeah.
wild, but a sense of community, a sense of belonging that her and all those other women would go to.
Yep.
That wasn't their work. That
Yep.
wasn't something else. It gave them purpose. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
working towards that.
Well, and I
and
feel like
stuff
when you do it like that, like even with sports or like anything you do outside of work besides politics, like you get people from different perspectives and different backgrounds, and you learn from it. And that's one
and
thing
they
I've learned
put that
from my
politics
podcast.
and shit aside to come
Yeah.
together for something bigger than themselves. One of the most
Exactly.
fascinating things is like an NFL team. You have 53 dudes in there who some are going to be vaxxed, some are going to be not.
Yeah.
Some are raised on the streets of Compton, some are raised in the rich ass streets of the Vermont. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
they can all put everything aside and come together for
get
that
that
one
brotherhood.
goal,
Yeah.
and that's what makes wrestling like again so. Wild to me is you have the wildest group of gypsies, thieves, and tramps
Yeah.
all in a room together, but we all come together put differences aside to work towards the goal of putting on an awesome show, giving the best we can.
Well, I feel like in pro wrestling, it's like there's so many eccentric type of individuals out there because they all have their own characteristics. They all have their own personality. They all have their own performance that they put on. But then somehow, like through this difference of like ideologies and ways they wrestle and like just personalities, like you have this cohesion on the ring that just looks so beautiful.
There's like politics, but not like like when I say that, I mean like, you know, how I see wrestling and how my opponent sees wrestling can be different. So how I might want to do things and how he wants to do things can be different. You got to balance that, compromise, make it work, and that's what makes it so fun is just like working with stuff like that.
How do you guys do that? Like, how do you guys have that cohesion in the ring, especially when you don't have, like, you guys are putting on 45-minute shows, and it's like I'm on a podcast here. I'm doing it for like, I don't know, 45 to an hour, and I'm like fucking overwhelmed. But it's nothing compared to how much goes on in the ring. It's like, what's that communication like? Training
early, it really, if you get a good trainer early, can that makes a world of difference. A lot of it is just feeling it when you're out there. You know what I mean? You have a strategy and a plan of attack, but a lot of times that can go out the window, and so it's just feeling it out there with the other person and just going with it, you know? I'm not gonna lie, I've had moments where like I wanted to run out the building minutes before my match. I was wrestling Josh Alexander, who's like the biggest name I've wrestled. He's wrestling for the Impact World Championship April 23rd at Impact Sacrifice. I was wrestling him 2 years ago, October 30th, 2019, and I almost ran out of the building.
Really?
Like, I'm not even kidding, because I'm like, this guy's legit. This guy's like a name. We're wrestling a 30-minute main event. Like, oh
pressure
my
and all that
God.
stuff,
I'm so scared. I'm not kidding. I thought about running out the door. I thought about running out the door, but I'm like, I can't, because then like he'll hate me. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. But you just go through the adversity, buck up and do it. And luckily I have him, who's an expert, you know what I mean, helping me through, you know what I mean? And he made it. It was amazing. But like, I don't know, sometimes you just got to face it, dive right in and go through it, you know what I mean?
Dude,
and just hope you know what you do and hope you can bust those things out when you need.
Well, I feel like playing football, like I was very similar. It's like before the game, like I'd be anxious. I'm like, fuck.
You can have all the game plan out the window. You can have your first 7 plays scripted beautifully, but your quarterback throws an interception, everything
out the window. And it's like
everything's out the window.
I know, like for myself, man, I'd be like sitting there sometimes before the game, like, how the fuck can I get out of this game right now? Like, I don't want to. Like, it's just so much easier just to run away, but it's just like you've gone too far. You can't do it.
Exactly.
But then like one thing that I keep remembering is just like the second that ball is kicked and the second you touch the field, or even like podcasts, the second I sit down and I get going, all out the window, and you just get into this like flow state where you just enjoy the moment.
100%.
Like, and I'm assuming wrestling's very similar to that.
I feel like that's a very like anxiety thing in general with people. Like even today, I was like, I had anxiety just coming over to do this podcast, and I was like, well, I was like, no, like just shut up and do it. And it's gonna be a fun time. And it wasn't like anything against you or anything in general. It's 100%. Just like, it's just in general. You know what I mean?
We're programmed that way. Yeah, because like through evolution, we're programmed to avoid anything that can cause any danger. Because our main goal is survival.
Set us up for anything. But like just going and doing stuff makes it. So sorry, what was the question about the wrestling? What was the question? Did you have an actual question?
I don't even know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't even know.
It's just with
getting into like the flow state with like wrestling.
100%. Yeah, no, it is that where a lot of times the nerves, you can be very overwhelmed and things like that. But once that bell rings, you just have to go out there. You know what I mean? Go. It takes over. You just fly on autopilot and just do what you know. You know what I mean? And just go. Yeah.
Well, I know, like even like this morning, like when you're coming over, you're like, oh, I'll text you when I'm on my way. And then part of me was like, you know, I'm getting set up and everything. I'm like checking my phone. I'm like, I think at the back of my head, I'm like, you know, if you just say, hey, I can't come today, I'd be like, okay, cool.
Literally, that's the exact same thing.
I'm like, totally. That's in the back of my mind.
Like for mine, it was like, what if I just can we reschedule?
Yeah.
And I'll do it another day, and then I can stay home and play Elden Ring for 3 hours. Like, no, shut up.
I can play video games too.
Just
man.
go out there,
be nice.
put in the hour.
Well, and it's
just weird because it's nothing, but you get these things in your brain. Yeah, I don't even know what it is. Anxiety, stupid.
Yeah, just questioning yourself. I feel like that's why sports is so important. Because I was talking to my former boss about this, because he's like, oh, I really like that you're in sports, and like, because at the end of the day, to be good in sales, like you just have to put yourself out there, and you have to overcome that sense of rejection.
That's the biggest
and like
thing.
sports teaches you to be like, hey, you got to do this. You're letting your team down.
That was a big thing Michael Hill taught me is rejection. One of the things I learned at Michael Hill was one of the sales things they talked about was collecting the no's. You got to change your mindset and not look at it, and this was at the jewelry store, not look at it as you're trying to collect people to say yes. You're trying to collect the no's, because if I get 15 people, if I give 15 awesome presentations and get 15 people and 15 people still say no, well, eventually someone's going to say yes.
Yeah.
That 16th person's probably going to say yes. So this guy would go out and his mindset was, well, I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to try to collect no's, because eventually if I'm doing the best I can, I'll collect a yes. And that one yes can weigh out the no's.
Yeah.
And so it's also switching your mind to be okay with the rejection of, I'm going to get rejected a bunch of times. You know what I mean? And so that's a thing where, and just like working with a team that helps out so much with wrestling when you're reaching out to promoters and they not right now, not taking it personally, and just seeing things for what they are, not worse than they are. That's something that I've been listening to a wrestling seminar guy. He might not like that I'm giving this away, Jared Gannam. He does I'd recommend any pro wrestler do this, sign up for him. He does these it's this squared circle group on Facebook, and it's basically how wrestlers can become better professional wrestlers.
Interesting.
But he doesn't talk about anything in the ring. He talks about the thing I signed up for is double your bookings. So it's basically like an 8-week program with hours and hours and hours of amazing video seminars talking about how to double your bookings. And a big thing he talks about is you're gonna face rejection. He'll show you a template of how to write the perfect booking email, but at the end of the day, if that company doesn't have room for you, it's not a thing personal. It's just, you know what I mean? But be okay with that. Don't get shut down by it, and keep sending out. Reach out to them again next month until they tell you. Until they tell you, we don't want to book you anymore. Because chances are, if you keep reaching out to them every month, at the 4th month, they're going to be like, you know what, let's just bring this guy out here. Let's just bring this guy out here and give him a shot because he wants to do it. That's why I hired one of my employees, AJ. I've told her this. Her resume was meh. Her interview was meh. But she followed up with me 3 times. She called me the next day. Then I said, well, we're still doing some interviews, so I'll let you know. She called me on Friday. I said, I've got one more interview. I'll let you know Monday. She called me again on Monday saying, hey. And I was like, my other candidates were like, okay. Like, they were all in the same ballpark. One was really better than the other. But I was like, this chick wants to work here and is following up with me. Let's do it. Thing. And from her perspective, she collected the no's. She collected 3 no's, and then, well, more no's, you know what I mean? Collected them, and then eventually, because she kept going at it, well, you know what? This person wants it. Let's give them that chance. You know what I mean?
Well, as much as sales can be very greasy at times and pushy, it's such an important aspect that I think a lot of people have to learn. Because even my one buddy, I was talking to him last night about this, and he's like, there's something about like asking a girl out or asking for a sale, whatever it is, all these scary moments. And he's like, what he started doing is just like looking for small rejections. Nothing big, but just to go to go to Starbucks and be like, hey, can I have a discount on my coffee? Hey, can I just have these small things? Because you get so used to that uncomfortableness.
He might be reading a book or two.
It was from a book. I forget what it was called, though.
It might be How to Win Friends and Influence People, it sounds like.
I don't think it was.
Or something.
That book was brought up, but it wasn't. It was another book, though.
By Neil Strauss? No. Anyways, I've heard that in a book. I've heard that in a book. I've read How to Win Friends and Influence People. That one's got a bit of a bad rap in 2022. I don't know why.
Have you read that one?
I've read it.
Because I heard it on a podcast yesterday. I was like, okay, I want to.
And that one's fantastic because again, the title of the book makes it sound worse.
Corny.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
It's such corny.
But then people also don't like because you're manipulating people. It's not manipulating people. It's just like how to get people to do stuff for you and want to do stuff for you. So at the end of the day, the number one thing is if I make you feel good, you're going to want to do stuff for me.
Yeah, exactly.
If I make you feel good about it. So just little things. Please and thank you every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
rewarding you for doing it. You know what I mean? Like positive affirmation.
Yeah.
All these things. And he does talk about like how to get better at talking to people. And one of the things, might have been the game he read, is facing the rejections.
Is that from a guy from the CIA?
Okay, I'm thinking
because the book that he was talking about was essentially just being like how to become likable. Yeah, it was from a CIA guy who was with the CIA.
Be cool with rejection.
Yeah, and like they were talking about, he was doing this one thing where they had this like competition where they were at a bar and there was a female across the bar.
Yeah,
and they said, "I'll give you an hour without talking to that female. Do you think you can get her to come have a drink with us?" And 45 minutes later, this female comes over and has a drink with them. and he's like talking about how like they're talking about this in the book and shit like that. And he's just talking about like the body language, how important body
cues,
language
posture,
is, right? And just like
stuff like that,
understanding just like how to interact with human beings at the
mirroring,
end
that's
of
the
the
thing
day.
we would talk about in sales a lot, is mirroring someone. Start mirroring your customer. So if he's standing
Yeah.
hand on his hips, you copy him, and then eventually you've maintained control of the situation when you go like this and he starts mirroring you.
Yeah.
And like it's the confidence, the thing like that. Something they taught us on Michael Hill is getting them to agree with you 3 times on something before the sale. Because if you can get them during the sale to agree with you 3 times,
Yep.
you've got a lot better chance to get them to actually agree to the
Yes.
sale at the end. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The rejection thing, I love that. I love that because I think more people like just be good with dealing with rejection. Because if you're okay with saying, "Can I get a discount on my coffee?" It's so ridiculous. You're not going to.
Yeah.
But if they say no, what's the worst that can happen? They
Yeah.
say no. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? What's
And you
the
say,
worst that
yeah,
can
worth
happen?
a shot. That's the worst that can happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we get like so like, yeah, no, books, yeah, How to Influence People, really good. I also I read this. My boss from Michael Hill actually got me it when I worked there, and I still read it. It's called the Maxwell Daily Reader. It's basically
Interesting, yeah.
365 pages every day, one page for each day. It's a couple paragraphs, and it's basically just like, this is so like boss boy energy.
Yeah.
But it's just like different, like how to manage people and deal with things. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
One that I read just the other day was, it's just a reminder that reminding you that all your staff has different personalities, and you got to deal with them differently. You know what I mean? I can't deal with AJ the same way I deal with Brooke. I can't deal with one the way I deal with the other, and stuff like that. And I feel like, yeah, self-improvement, great stuff.
Well, I feel like at the end of the day, where it's just like I was talking, like I was doing a case competition for school last week, and they had these females. I'll be straight up honest, they're kind of bitches. Like they're very competitive.
Okay.
Like, oh my gosh, you gotta do better, you gotta do better. It's like the whole like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan mindset. It's
yeah.
like you gotta be better. It's like, and then damn, I'm not in the fucking NBA getting paid $10 million a year. Like, chill the fuck out, right? But it's just like you gotta know how to handle different
How
people.
to encourage people. Some people
Yeah.
don't do well with getting screamed at.
Exactly. Some people need the encouragement. Like, hey, let's go. Let's walk you through this. Let's make sure I answer your
I
question.
need to be
Other
firmer.
people just
dealt
need
with.
to be like, fuck you, get on your shit.
Yeah,
Right?
how we deal with people. Yeah, and it's learning stuff like that. And I love it because all this sales stuff is so applicable to wrestling because it's how you deal with people. How am I going to get one guy to agree to do something in the match versus another? You're going to deal with people completely differently. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. I feel like just sales is just so important. As much as like, I don't know. I think like I'm good at sales, not to be cocky. Like I found I feel like sales is weird because half the time I feel like you're not even selling the product, you're selling yourself.
Exactly. If they don't trust you, they're not buying anything.
Yeah,
from you.
right?
So at Michael Hill, they had a whole like system, and I'm going to expose it. I don't care. Acknowledge within 30 seconds.
Fuck Michael Hill.
So they show up and you want to acknowledge. I say that, but I'm still coming to them for my wedding ring. So you know,
Got that employee discount 10 years later.
Take care of. Prep them. But so you acknowledge the customer within 30 seconds. So they come in within 30 seconds. You give them a hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Then the next thing in the selling system was welcome and hangout,
Mm-hmm.
where basically you would want to build a rapport and you'd want to welcome them in and hang out. Now the thing that was tough, and I get what they would say, but they wanted you to basically start the conversation with the customer about something that has nothing to do with jewelry. So basically, if I was looking at you, pink sweater, I don't know. And that's where it was stupid because they'd want you to like it. A lot of times it seems so fake and stuff. You know what I mean? Because they never wanted you to ask, can I help you find anything?
Yeah.
They never wanted you to ask that. So they wanted you to start a conversation to make it more conversational.
Yeah.
I get the idea of it, but a lot of times it just came across bullshit because again, I want to trust you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If I don't trust you, I'm not giving you my money. I'm not doing
Yeah.
anything. And that's why we were talking before the podcast, we were talking about Future Shop. That's why Future Shop went out of business because people don't generally trust employees, salesmen
Yeah.
anymore. You have to do so much for it. The only reason car salesmen are still a thing is because they literally have to be. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
literally.
If I could buy a car and never deal with a salesman, I would. But to go there, I have to have someone take me around the lot and show me the cars.
Yeah.
We don't trust
And at least build the
salesmen
trust to at
nowadays.
least let you drive it as well too.
And also, things are so polarizing nowadays. It's easier than ever to lose trust with someone. I can say one wrong thing, and next thing I know,
Gone.
you don't trust me. You don't even trust my business anymore.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And so, trust. I lost where you're going.
No,
Yeah.
I love when that happens. You're just like, oh fuck, where the hell was I
Making good
going
points,
with that?
yeah.
I want to go back and like, what's been the training process for this wrestling? Because that's something
Yeah.
that I've never heard of, or not heard of, but like never actually seen anybody like the
Yeah.
proper training for wrestling.
So,
what's like the techniques and how do you learn all that stuff?
Basically, you start off learning how to roll and bump, because that's the most basic stuff.
Yeah.
How to roll, because everything you do comes from a roll, and then how to bump.
Okay, what's a roll?
A roll is just literally just like a front roll. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah,
A front
yeah.
roll. And then a bump is the classic, like how we fall. Falling with style, basically.
Yeah.
Now, like, flatbacks, I don't care who you, like, flatbacks just suck. Like, flatback bump is the first thing you're going to do, because that will determine if you can do wrestling or not.
Yeah.
WWE people have talked about how they have these college athletes, badass college athletes, take one bump and they're like, fuck this, not for me.
Yeah.
Because it's the only time where you fall back, don't look, and do not put your hands back to catch yourself. Because if you do, it's going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
It's the only time where as a human, you're taught fall backwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, that idea, or they just can't wrap their heads around that, or if they do it, doesn't feel great. You know what I mean? But once you hammer that, once you can learn how to take a bump and how to do rolls, then they go, traditionally, depends on where you go, then they start leading you into more chain wrestling, stuff like that, because that's how a match is going to start. Then you slowly start learning, start doing more rope spots and stuff. Kind of teaching you, and this is how I learned anyways, kind of teaching you in the way a match would go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of learn some rope spots, then you learn, a move or two, they'll teach you a body slam or something, you know what I mean? And then, you'll just start hammering those basics for a while, and then it's, plugging and placing, watching stuff, and then eventually doing it. But I trained at Monster Pro Wrestling, which was different than some places, because Monster Pro Wrestling was much more an intro to pro wrestling.
Okay.
You would show up and you would do training for about 2-ish months, and then he would put you in a match. But the thing is, so it's somewhere like Top Talent, one of the other fantastic training facilities, they much more train you hard for 3 months, so that way once you're done after that 3 months, you could just go off into the world and wrestle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've taught you so much stuff that you can just go. Whereas with MPW, after 3 months, I've learned how to wrestle one match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've at least wrestled a match. Whereas Top Talent, when you leave somewhere like there, you are much better, much overall way more trained to just go out into the world. You know what I mean? But that being said, then you're just going out to random companies and stuff like that. Whereas
And saying like, hey, I have this training.
hey, I was trained. So then you would reach out to RCW or one of the other companies, PPW down in Lethbridge, and say, hey, I was trained by Top Talent. I just finished my training. Do you have a spot for me?
Yeah.
That's how they do it, and that's the way it goes now. That's much more the traditional way.
Yeah.
Whereas MPW kind of brings you in, and you do some train. The training just wasn't that great, but then you eventually learn how to do a match.
Yeah.
Now then from there, you basically learn how to do it through matches, because the next month you're doing another match.
Yep.
So then you kind of train and learn what you want to do there. I'm not saying Monster Pro Wrestling's the best training.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care. Anyone starting out pro wrestling in Alberta, go to Top Talent.
Okay.
Go to Top Talent
Yeah.
Pro Wrestling. Your buddy Emmett Donnan, that's where he's training.
Yeah, so here he's starting out.
If you were starting out as a pro wrestler, go to Top Talent. I went up through NPW and it worked for me, but for pretty much everyone else, if you have the choice, spend the extra money, go to Top Talent. You will be, after 3 months of training there, you will be better than I was after a year. You know what I mean? Like, you'll just know so much more. But that being said, MPW is much more an intro, because you would show up once a month and you would do a show, and they would be, this is how a show's supposed to work.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be everyone shows up at 3:30. Reality, roads happen, traffic happens, people don't show up till 6 o'clock sometimes. You got guys showing up at 6:30, show starts at 7, and you got to put a match together in half an hour. Holy crap. Whereas at MPW, that's not a thing. Everyone shows up at 3:30. You've been working on your match, you've been planning stuff out for an entire month leading up to that. You've been training, practicing moves that you want to try to do to your opponent for a month leading up to that. So that way when you go, it's much more, this is how it goes.
Yeah,
whereas,
more structure to it.
Whereas last week, for example, I thought I was wrestling a singles match, but then it turns out a half hour before the show, it becomes a triple threat match. Whereas like that would never ever happen in MPW. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So MPW's like got its thing, because again, it taught me intro to pro wrestling, and it taught a lot of guys how to the intro to pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But it's not. I wouldn't say it's real as much. You know what I mean? It's very close. And again, it's a great way to start. I'm very happy with how I started.
Yeah.
But I do solidly say to anyone starting out now, go to Top Talent and you'll get a much better overall and a much
Experience,
more...
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
okay,
know what
that's
I mean?
fair. Yeah, no,
But,
absolutely.
Yeah, and then now it's just, practicing moves, wrestling matches, doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like at this point though, you're more on like granted the obviously the wrestling's one thing. You got to be able to put on a good show.
Yeah.
But like, and then one thing you realize with WWE, which is really big, it's outside the ring. It's the promotion. It's like this character that you're putting on.
And that's one thing I take a lot of pride in is because like being an independent wrestler, being an independent guy, like I don't have the platform that Finn Balor or Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins do. So they don't have to post the same content. They can post one picture a week and one thing on their story. They don't have to create as much content because they've got millions of people tuning in to watch them.
Yeah, they have the WWE to do all that stuff.
Whereas myself, as an independent wrestler, my platform is Instagram. So I have to constantly put stuff out there to make you want to tune into me. Because I don't have a weekly TV show for you to tune in. I am the weekly TV show. So I've got to put stuff out to make you want to come to shows. Make you want to click on my story every time you see it. Make you want to do stuff. So that's, with me, I take a lot of pride in really trying to do that because at the end of the day, that's what's putting me out there. That's getting myself out there.
Yeah.
I could be sitting wrestling the best matches, and if I'm not putting anything out there for social media, if no one's knowing about it, doesn't matter. People always talk about, and a big thing they talk about in wrestling now is like, you can do moves, great, but do you have a personality behind it?
Yeah.
Why are you doing the moves? Do I care about you as a person? And that's where I might, and I'll say I'm not the best at doing the moves, but I really pride myself on trying to get that reaction out of people. Whether it's getting people to hate me or like me or want to see me do whatever. Liking that I can play that character who has no concern out there, which everyone wants to be. Everyone wants to be that person who has no concern. So I can go out there and play that really, really well, get people to buy into you, get into my social media. Hopefully I can get that all built up bigger so that way I can go down, present myself as a bigger package. Hey,
I have this following.
I can post something on there. It'll be seen by X number of people. Bring me in. Let's do this. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's a big thing that I've come to realize with my podcast, especially where it's just like, you put yourself out there, you have this following, but at the end of the day, it's like you're going to have to put out like 10, 20 posts to get like one view from one person, right? Because even like for yourself, for example, me, I follow you on Instagram. You are so fucking entertaining. I love it.
Thank you. At Nasty NXN. Check me out.
Yeah. And then it's just like, but for me, I've only watched maybe like one or two of your matches, right? So it's a very small percentage, but it's like I know who you are and I follow you as a person.
Stuff out there because that one time you come, that's $20 you're spending on your pocket, you know what I mean? You just got to keep putting that out there. And there's been times where you want it, you want to check out or something, but then you hear, like you were telling me earlier about your buddies loving it, and I'm like, that's so rewarding and like, shit, thank you. Because again, like it's like, oh, it's working, it's paying off, and you get the instant feedback and stuff. But again, like, do stuff. I don't get so many of these wrestlers out there. This might get me some heat. The only content they create, the only content they post or create is the match card that RCW posts.
Oh,
so my girlfriend
like a repost then?
My girlfriend runs the RCW Instagram.
Yeah.
And so they post the match cards, and every day, so like today they have a show in Medicine Hat. She posted all the Medicine Hat match cards, tags the wrestlers, and says, who do you think will win? And the fans can vote. Little interaction, right? Yeah. Boost that interaction, engagement. But again, the thing I think is so funny is a lot of these wrestlers, the only content they create is that. So they're not even creating content. They're just reposting stuff. And I'm like, man, like,
you don't have, you get that excitement, get the people excited.
Like, why? What are you doing? You know what I mean? And I understand not everyone's like comfortable putting themselves out there, but then I'm just like, well, like, get comfortable, because that's what this business is.
That's what it is. That's what you have to do to
We're entertainers who put ourselves out there, who, you know what I mean? We're larger than life. We're trying to get people invested in us.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a side tangent. That's just a side thing where I'm like, what are you? And then, oh yeah, I'm serious. I'm gonna go places.
Yeah.
But you put nothing out. No one knows you exist.
Yeah.
And
how are you not gonna be able to do it on social media?
You're
but
not
then
that big a
quote
deal.
unquote do it when you're big in the future if you really want to, right? You gotta be able to do it when nobody's following you.
Seth Rollins can get away with only sharing the match card because he's on WWE and he's filming stuff in WWE.
But the thing is, though, he probably went through that whole stage of trying to that you don't notice now.
We're trying to get people to want to tune into us.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's a side thing, yeah.
What was the origin of Nasty Nate Nixon? Where did this character come from?
So it was originally Nate Nicholson.
Okay.
Nate Nicholson.
Yeah.
Was what I had said. Because alliteration is the way to go in wrestling, apparently. And yeah, it was originally Nate Nicholson, and I don't even know where the nasty came from, to be honest. I think maybe in a training drill or something, I spit on my hand or something, and someone's like, "Oh, that's nasty" or something.
Yeah.
No, it started with Nasty Nate. That's where it started from. I got Nasty Nate first. I don't know where the nasty came from, but I got Nasty Nate first, and then I was like, okay, well, I need a last name, so I said Nasty Nate Nicholson was what I was originally gonna do. Nasty Nate Nicholson, because my thinking was like they can chant Nicholson in it, right?
Yeah.
But I taught Massive Damage, my trainer at the time. When I told him that, he's like, "That's okay. We got to make it shorter. Nicholson's too long."
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
want it
really?
quick.
And he just sat there for a sec, and I picked up this tick from him. I hate myself that I do it, but I do it. This. Massive Damage. He sits there with his beard when he's really stressed out, and he goes like this.
Interesting.
And he goes like that. And, oh, hair, gross. I spent so much time with him.
Yeah.
Because I was like running that company with him for a bit. I spent so much time with him that I started to do it.
Oh, shit.
And so I now literally will sit there and do this when I'm stressed out or when I'm nervous or like before matches. I'll sit there doing this, and I have other NPW guys come and like, "Oh, a little massive over here." I'm like, "Shut up! Don't say that." But like I bite my nails, and that's disgusting. So I'm trying not to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm so I'm trying
a
to find
different thing
something
you're
to
doing.
do.
Yeah.
But so anyways, so he goes over, he sits down, and he just does this for a minute. Nixon. And I was like, what? He's like, Nasty Nate Nixon. And at first, I was like, nah, Nicholson.
Yeah.
But I like thought about it for a couple minutes, and I was like, shit, he's right. Nasty Nate Nixon just sounds better than Nicholson.
It comes
you know
off so
It just
smoothly,
rolls off so smooth. And so there we go. And then that was just it. I was very lucky to have a name picked out pretty early, and I had an idea. Like I had an idea of my style. Like I described Nasty Nate as Conor McGregor and Kanye West in one. That's the way I always try to think of and approach it, in the sense that like he's so loud, awful, hold up, this guy, but at the same time, just psycho and wild and fashionable like Kanye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's so
that's
funny.
like always been my, and like when I first started wrestling, I didn't have proper wrestling boots, but I had like these high top shoes I was wearing that were like Kanye's.
Yeah.
And so that was like my whole thing. Why I do like a lot of the gold, leopard print, crazy stuff like that, because I'm like high fashion badass loudness of McGregor with just Kanye loud ass and bashiness. You know what I mean? And so that's always what I try to like keep in mind when I'm doing stuff, when I'm getting gear made or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kanye and that's the way I describe it.
Kanye
So
and McGregor.
Describe your
That's
character,
fucking
describe
awesome.
Nasty Nate. If Kanye West and Conor McGregor were one. And
Well,
it's
see,
just
and
like,
that's the thing. Like,
fuck that
that's
guy.
like you. Like McGregor showed how important it is the out of the fight, right? The
So
promotion
much.
of everything.
The promotion of it.
Like,
him versus
so
Mayweather.
much.
Him versus Mayweather was pro wrestling.
Yeah.
That was pro wrestling. They were just cutting pro wrestling promos. I'm gonna kick your ass. Blah, 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 blah,
Literally.
blah.
But
Calls
it's
him
so
short and
fucking
stuff,
funny.
But it was so
You can't
hyped,
fucking
and it was
read.
a spectacle, and I wanted to see it. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was wild.
Well, and like years after, like even now, like I come across McGregor like fucking chirping videos
Yeah.
so much. I barely see his videos of him fighting.
Because
the reason he
he's
gets paid.
fighting now. This is a side note for McGregor and fighters in general. It's hard to wake up and get punched in the face when you're waking up in silk sheets.
Yeah.
So once you get proper 12 and some things like that, it's a lot harder to wake up in the morning and get punched in the face.
Yeah, you get
You
comfortable.
know what I mean?
Well, even just like you look at like NFL players. Like obviously, once they get that big paycheck, they don't have that the drive.
The
to
ones
get
that do
bigger
keep
and
going,
bigger.
that's when you're like, oh, these are the Hall
Tom
of
Brady's,
Famers.
those
Exactly.
kind.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's just like I feel like a lot of these players just need to get to the league.
You get your
to
Zeke
better their
Elliott from
situation.
Dallas who signs a big contract years early and then just falls off real
He's like,
quick.
yeah,
And
what's
it's
the
like,
point? What's the point of even training? Where I
drop
have
the bag.
$100 million.
Exactly.
Okay, you said Bengals.
Yeah.
Let's hear this.
Okay, so this is my Bengals story. So
Yeah.
I'm a big Bengals fan. Let me go off about this. So the Bengals were in the Super Bowl. Pretty fantastic. So I've been a fan of the Bengals since 2001. Since Madden 01. I was 8 years old at the time, so I think it was
All right,
2003.
Peter, your
yeah,
soul.
right? Oh, it's been miserable. But the reason why was I was playing Madden 01 we were in Manitoba at my grandpa's house, and it's like my stepson, whatever.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
we'll call him my cousin for the time being. We're at my cousin's house, and I'm playing Madden 01. He's not there, and I'm playing Madden 01. I'm scrolling through, finding the jerseys, looking at the teams, and they show you the jerseys. And I'm 8 years old at the time, right? So I don't know anything, and I'm flipping through, and eventually I see this team that has Tiger jerseys.
Oh,
And I'm like, little 8-year-old me is like, sick.
fuck
Tigers?
yeah, mine.
This team has to be good. They have tigers on their jerseys. Little did I know.
Oh, fuck. You took 20 years of stress, man.
Are not good at all, any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then since then, I just like the Bengals, and I played the crap out of them. I like the Bengals and the Packers. Packers because
Edmonton.
Eskimos. They look like Eskimos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would always play.
They're the Elks. You can't say
Sorry,
that.
yeah, my apologies. The
Pod-
Elks. Yeah,
podcast is
my
now
apologies.
canceled.
Elks. Yeah,
just
Dan
kidding.
goes out. Yeah. So there's that, and then so I've always liked the Bengals, and it's been miserable. And like following NFL, being from Canada, I don't have a geographical team. So whenever someone asks, it was Bengals and Niners. Niners is a different reason. My uncle gave me like 2 jerseys for them, but I didn't really like the Niners. I just liked them because he gave me the jersey.
Fair.
Now they've been sick, so I'm like, yeah, I like the Niners.
Yeah.
Conveniently.
Yeah.
But so the Bengals, and then so fast forward to now, I have a buddy who I went to high school with named Josh Healy. Josh Healy played hockey. Josh Healy went to Ohio State and played hockey for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, who just played in the Super Bowl this year, also went to Ohio State.
Okay.
Him and Josh Healy were roommates for 1 year.
No fucking way, eh?
Joe Burrow, after that 1 year, transfers to LSU, where he goes on to have the literal single greatest season any college quarterback has ever had, period. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow then gets drafted by the Bengals, my favorite unfortunately favorite team, shatters his ACL last year, shatters his knee,
for him, man.
comes
so
back,
bad.
gets sacked the most out of anyone in the league, and goes to the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow. So basically, when you think about it, my buddy Josh Healy, who has come and watched me wrestle in the a couple years ago, my buddy Josh Healy is friends with Joe Burrow. So when you think about it, I'm best friends with NFL Super Bowl quarterback Joe Burrow.
Logic. I love that logic right there.
Basically, I'm
So
homies
you
with
can get
Joe
Joe Burrow on my podcast then.
I mean, hey, I want to rush him. He's thinking about the offseason. We'll talk eventually.
Big dick
But,
Joe
like,
Kelly thinks
yeah.
it.
So that's basically.
Okay,
like,
how
my
does he explain
weird-
like Joe Burrow and like how was he in university?
I honestly, so I haven't hung out with Josh Healy.
Yeah.
Since Joe Burrow, since he had his big year, you know what I mean. So
shit,
the last time I
yeah.
saw Josh Healy was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Or no, it was like 2 years ago. It was before COVID. Basically,
Yeah.
it was at a wrestling show before COVID.
Yeah, when you actually had friends and stuff like
exactly
that.
stuff like that.
before
Was
COVID,
happening. So Joe Burrow wasn't like as known as a thing. Like you know what I mean. Like I'd
yeah.
seen it, and I'd seen
It was more just like, oh, that's
he
cool.
posted a picture of just like it's just like a goofy college roommates, them in their picture or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. And then you just click, and you're like, oh wait, what? That's whatever. And he posted something on his story being like, oh, shout out to the boy, shout out to the homie or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what? So I don't actually fucking know him. I don't know how close Josh Healy actually is, but it's fun to say
Yeah,
through like
absolutely.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the guy who's in the Super Bowl.
But at the end of the day, it's
But
cool
it's also
to like
cool
have those
just to
connections.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's cool as hell for my buddy Josh Healy, who shout out to him as well. He's no slouch. He got drafted by the Flames,
Boom.
the Calgary Flames, in the 2nd or 3rd round, I believe.
Yeah.
And now he's playing for their AHL team.
Yeah.
Bop season, that's his thing. Hashtag Bop season.
Bop season.
SZN. He basically just posts videos of him crushing guys.
Oh, really?
He's not like he's not the biggest scorer. He's sick.
He's like a George LaRock type player.
Crushes guys as a
Yeah.
defenseman. He crushes. Good guy though. But anyways, yeah. So that's my story about the Bengals
love that.
and why I basically know Joe Burrow.
I fucking love it how just growing up, like my buddy's the exact same way. He's like a fan of the Sharks and like the Ravens.
Yeah.
How weird, just like something small like that can have such an impact later down in your life. Just like for me, I'm a huge Utah Jazz fan.
Oh god.
Who the fuck likes Utah
Right?
Jazz in Alberta?
Yeah.
But for me, I was into monster trucks.
Yeah.
And I like basketball. Karl Malone had a monster truck. And it had basketballs in the wheels. I was like, that's fucking
really?
cool. I like that
That's
truck.
Wild.
And then so I liked Karl Malone, so I looked up who he was.
And then so just
from
that
there-
little thing. You're
and
like,
then
yeah,
from there,
I like
it was like I really got into basketball. there. And it was like, I
Yeah.
love the Utah Jazz, man.
that's
but just a
wicked.
little fucking thing like
Yeah.
that, though,
Oh,
man.
that's
like,
awesome.
Your Madden,
Yeah,
all
it's
that
just
stuff,
the
man.
one thing. I
So
like the
fucking weird.
jerseys. And then fast forward to now, the thing with my buddy.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, well, it works out. Now I'm a Bengals fan.
20 years of
Super Bowl.
stress paid off.
Oh man, I'm not gonna
What'd you think
lie.
of the Super Bowl?
So I
thought they had it. I thought they fucking had it, man.
Mentally, I prepared myself going into it. I prepared myself going into the Super Bowl of like the fact that they're here is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I just no one
Like his first full year. Yeah.
expected the Bengals to be in the Super Bowl. So the fact that they were there and then they go down early, I'm like, oh god. And then and then they went up.
Yeah.
And I like, there was like, I don't know, 7 minutes left, and I let the thought enter my brain of, Bengals might fucking win this thing.
Yeah.
Bengals might win
The
this
second
thing.
that thought comes
I
in, though.
let that enter, and then just, no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, yes, it was heartbreaking, but it was also the thing of, like, it wasn't even that heartbreaking because it was, like, they were just so, it was such a Cinderella story to
Yeah.
be there.
They
And
shouldn't
also-
even have been there.
And it was against the Rams. Like, my thing about that is I'm like, Rams, you shouldn't have let it be that close.
Yeah.
It should not, like,
Especially when they paid all that money to get the people
they
in.
were so, like, the super team in LA, like, y'all should be embarrassed it was
Home
that close.
home stadium.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
like, so that was kind of my spin on. I'm like, man, go Bengals.
Well,
Like,
and
they
like
shouldn't
when you
even
look at the
been that
Bengals,
close.
studs all across the board. Terrible fucking O-line. The Rams have probably the best D-line.
So it
in
was
my
just-
mind, I
you
was
know what
like,
I mean?
well, he's getting sacked 15
He's getting-
times. You
and
know.
even so, he's still, man. And like the other thing about Joe Burrow is he's so likable. He's so likable because again, his first playoff game, he gets sacked, or the second playoff game, he gets sacked 9 times, and he just gets back up every time. What do we like more? We as audiences, we like a hero or a character that gets knocked down and keeps coming back.
Keeps coming back
we
up.
like that, and it doesn't phase him. He just keeps
Yeah.
coming back up, and that's what we like. He's also got the swag, the style, like Joe
Yeah.
Namath, where he's just showing up. He's confident.
But it's like it's
He's
not
got a
even
great
like
name.
yeah, it's not even like you get some people who are cocky and you're just
But
like
it's not
fuck
that, yeah.
It's like a weird like I fuck with this guy.
Yeah,
I fuck with this guy.
exactly,
You know?
yeah.
It's like I remember like the picture of him smoking the cigar after. I'm
Yeah.
like any other person, I'd be like, what a fucking douche. But him,
This
I was
guy's,
like,
shit,
big dick
because
Joe.
he literally just had the greatest college quarterback season,
Yeah.
and you're just like
Oh,
respect.
he's
respect.
such a good quarterback.
Do you have TikTok?
Yeah.
You should follow Trap House Sports.
Okay.
He's my favorite TikTok account. Go back and watch his NFL stuff. Basically, I don't watch sports highlights.
Yeah.
I watch Trap House Sports because
yeah.
literally he's some black dude and he just goes. He's like, "Hey y'all, just a motherfucking game we got going on," and he basically does highlights, super ghetto like,
Yeah.
and it's so funny. And so the reason why Joe Burrow is called Joe Shiesty,
Yeah.
is literally because of this guy. This guy. So his TikToks, his TikToks of the football seed games, he just does like AFC Championship highlights, and those videos get like 4 or 5 million views.
Holy shit.
And so literally earlier in the season, he started calling Joe Burrow, "Oh, Joe Burr, Joe Icy, oh, look at Joe Burr," and he started
Yeah.
selling shirts that were basically, it was like, it looked like Joe Burrow, but it didn't have the logo on it.
Yeah.
And then in the helmet, it looked like Daft Punk, and it said Burr. And then he got Shiesty.
shit.
So this guy literally like started all these nicknames.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, he calls him Jay Chizzy.
Yo, what a fucking pickup Chase was.
Right?
I remember preseason, I was like, yo, Bengals
So
fucked up.
I
Should
listen
draft
to all the
O-lineman.
podcasts. I listen to all of NFL sports podcasts.
Yeah.
I love it. And yeah, I literally remember them talking about like, oh yeah, like he can't catch, like he's dropping passes, blah 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 blah. Comes out and has literally the greatest NFL rookie season ever.
Literally. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. The catch he made at Ramsey.
Oh, Ramsey sucks. Oh, and the thing that's heartbreaking about like even more, I don't know, just seeing how like at the end, if Joe Burrow hadn't got sacked, he had Jamar Chase downfield wide open, Jalen
open.
Ramsey beat. But whatever, it's what ifs. You can't
open.
think about that. You
Wide.
can't think about that. You
Well,
know
it
what?
was such like an unconventional fourth down where you just assumed they were gonna get it.
Yeah,
And then,
right.
And then Aaron Donald got through, and you're like,
Aaron
oh,
Donald's
well,
a beast.
But then, yo, honestly, like I was watching it. I was working. I was just watching it on like the online, and I saw Joe Burrow kind of flick it, and I was like, I think it was Joe Mixon was there. I'm like, he's gonna complete
gonna-
a backwards pass on
Yeah,
fourth and like whatever.
and
This
not
and it
quite.
dropped. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's fucking
No, yeah,
too
it
much
was.
to be true.
Yeah, it was wild. And this NFL season was really like this was the first time I've really I sat down and watched multiple games. Like I watched
Yeah.
every playoff game this year.
Yeah.
And it helps that it was also like the most
What
funnest
good
playoffs
fucking
ever.
football.
Like we watched, like that one weekend where everything went to the final kickoff or
Yeah.
to the final field goal was insane.
Yeah.
But that's just also why I say so. Like with me, like the NFL is the best sport, hands down.
is.
The NFL is the best sport. It is the most viewed thing. Every other sport, wrestling, people, 16 million people tune in for a random NFL game.
Yeah.
AEW and WWE are like WWE on SmackDown Live, which is on Fox, syndicated in every household in America, gets like a rating of like 2.1, 2.5, and they're like, woo!
Yeah.
AEW hits like 1.1, and they're like, woo!
Yeah.
NFL is hitting 16. NFL has like
Ridiculous.
it's crazy. And again, it's that thing of it's urgency. It's once a week. So like, with my girlfriend, I can get her to sit down and watch
Yep.
every week, once a week.
On a
She's down
Sunday.
to do that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
My girlfriend's a bit of an anomaly because she's fantastic and down to watch stuff like that. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
It's
what you
not easier
mean,
for
yeah.
most people to just once a week sit down and watch something versus NBA, NHL. You know what I mean?
Well, especially like during the week, like on a Wednesday night,
it's
I'm always like,
so
oh,
brutal.
well, I'm like, I gotta do this stuff. I gotta
My
go work
buddy,
out.
I've been wanting to go over and hang out with my buddy and watch a hockey game with him. But the thing is, I don't want to go at 7 o'clock. Like it sounds maybe, and I think that's part of the COVID thing has made us much more homebodies.
True.
Much more homebodies. But like, I don't want to go watch a game that starts at 7:30 for it to be over at 10:30. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then be like,
oh
well, I'm
my
getting home at
God.
11. I'll be in bed by 12.
You know what I
It's
mean?
like,
Just all that
fuck,
stuff.
that's a
And so,
lot.
whereas with the NFL, even if they start a game at 6 o'clock on a Sunday, hey, I'm home by 9:30. You know what I mean?
Well, worst case scenario, you're up, you wake up at 10 a.m., you sleep in on Sunday, like, oh, fuck, there's a game in an hour. Let me make some
Exactly.
breakfast and go watch a game
And
or
so that's
something
why,
like
like,
that. So much easier.
I swear by it so much. And it's also the thing of, like, with the NFL, like, players can get cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can get fired at your job.
Yeah.
If you go into Good Life and you have an absolute shit 4 weeks, they can fire you.
Yeah,
If I go to
absolutely,
Popeyes and
yeah.
I have a shit 4 weeks, they will fire me.
Yeah.
NBA, if you have a shit 4 weeks, keep getting paid. Nothing happens.
Literally. It's like, oh, just wait till
Keep
playoffs.
getting paid, whatever. You know what I mean? And that's a big thing where I on it, like, why the NBA has gone down so much. We're talking about, I love the sport of basketball,
Same here.
but I don't care about watching it because
Yeah.
you have all these players getting paid so much money. It's not relatable. They're getting paid crazy amounts. Do they earn it?
Stupid
Sure.
amounts.
But it's amounts that, like, you have Otto Porter making $44 million.
Yeah.
Who the hell's an Otto Porter?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Or like
what?
a bench, so a bench warmer will get like 750 or 500,000 a year, 750,000 a year, and you're like, oh, that's nothing. But then when you think about it, you're like,
Yeah.
yo, I would kill a motherfucker
Connor
for
McDavid
$500,000.
makes $12 million a year, and
Yeah.
people are like, oh, he was selfish for taking too much. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Brother could
Yeah,
be
fucking
taking
babe.
20. Like,
Yeah,
what?
easily.
What? And so, like, yeah, that's just like, yeah, I love the NFL. It is the best. Football's the best. I wish I had played football growing up.
Yeah.
I love NFL so much. And it's just, there's lots of things with the other sports that are just like, I don't care. Oilers, man,
Yeah.
I hate Edmonton. Like, I want to cheer for the Oilers, but I hate Edmonton and their fans in the sense that
fair.
one of the podcasts I listen to, Colin Cowherd, he's fantastic. I recommend
I
listening
like
to him.
Colin, yeah.
He talks about low sports self-esteem cities. So Edmonton is a mixture. Edmonton is a combination of Cleveland and Miami of the NFL. Hear me out. Cleveland in the sense that the city's fucking miserable.
Yeah.
No one wants to go there.
Yeah.
But because there's nothing going on, the people of Cleveland love their team.
Yeah.
They love their team.
Yeah.
But we're also like Miami in the sense that we had some success a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
And now anytime we get anyone good or anyone, we compare it to the
the
80s.
glory
So
days.
they compare it to Dan Marino and the glory years.
Yeah.
We compare Connor McDavid and Draisaitl to Gretzky and Messier.
Yeah.
So anytime we get any remote success, people are like, it's the dynasty all over again. It's happening. It's Gretzky. It's
Oh, we're on a 5-game win streak, you guys. Yeah.
And then when they lose, because we're a low sports self-esteem city, who people don't want to come here to play. People don't want to come here because if I'm getting offered $4 million to go to Florida or $5 million to go to
tax-free.
Edmonton, I'm going to Florida.
Yeah.
Why do I want to live in the frozen tundra?
Literally.
You know what I mean? But then there's also the thing of, if I go on a 4-game losing streak in Florida, this is going to sound bad. People don't care as much.
Nobody gives a
I'm not
shit.
going to have media. I'm not going to have some asshole as I'm driving down the street. Fuck you, McDavid.
Yeah, why didn't you score 3 goals last night?
I remember this. Ryan Smith, his last year, the Oilers lost a game like 8-2.
Yeah.
I was at the chiropractor, Dr. Kevin Watson, walks in, Ryan Smith and his family.
Oh.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So they walk in. Turns out, we hear him talking. Someone threw mustard and bologna on his SUV that night because they lost 8-2. To Ryan Smith. Smitty.
Yeah.
They did that to him.
I don't even follow hockey. I know he's like a treasure.
And so I'm like, people want to say wrestling fans are the most toxic. I posted a thing on my story a couple days ago saying the Young Bucks said that wrestling has the most toxic fans in the world. Yukon Jack retweeted, they've clearly never met Edmonton Oilers fans.
Oh.
I legitimately believe that because you have a treasure like that who's like, you know, a kid, like an Edmonton Hall of Famer, and they did that because he lost a game 8-2 where he's not even the goalie.
Not even, yeah.
Like, you know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
And so again, why the hell would I want to come here and possibly have to deal with that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
And
like-
he's a national, like a treasure, like an
treasure,
icon in
yeah,
Edmonton. You know what I mean? And so it's that thing of we're a low sports self-esteem. We had a little bit of success, and then we've had nothing for so long. I honestly believe the cup run was one of the worst things to happen for this city.
Yeah.
Because we have no success for so long, and then when we do, we go straight to the cup.
Yeah.
And then it's no success again. So now when they lose in the second round of the playoffs, people don't recognize that that's like really solid to do.
That's
Like,
good.
losing
Yeah.
in the second round in Game 7 is like that's a good season.
Yeah,
But
especially when you've had nothing for so long.
But because the last time they had success was a cup run, and the last time before that was winning the Stanley Cup, people are so like obsessed and
driven.
and again in Edmonton especially, whereas at least Cleveland they have the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Edmonton, we have nothing. So we're also like the Riders fans of the CFL in the sense that we have nothing else going on to take our attention off of.
Yeah.
So people get so
Yeah.
into it, and it makes players like don't not want to play here because like, oh my god, people are like, bro, we lost 8-2. I shouldn't have to clean bologna and mustard off my car.
Literally, especially after I gave you so many years of my life.
You know what I mean? And so yeah,
Well, I think it's like a good comparison would be like New York versus Brooklyn in the NBA. Like nobody wants to go play for the Knicks because of all the pressure. It's like, why would I go? Like, granted, it'd be nice to play in like that area. But apparently, like we're like.
And they
Well, yeah,
say
they're
if
from
you
there,
can
something
be
like that,
the guy who makes the Knicks good, you're a god. Just like, you know, if you can be the guy who makes the Oilers good, you're a god. But at the end of the day, the Knicks and the Oilers are so front office damaged and awful that we literally have Connor McDavid, the greatest player since Crosby.
You have two
and
MVPs on your team.
and he can't make it better.
Yeah.
It's because the front office this is just all my sports theories are coming out. Starts at the top with ownership.
Yeah.
Look at the best, most successful teams. They have damn good fucking owners.
Yeah.
Robert Kraft
Robert
with the
Kraft.
Patriots, amazing. Tampa Bay, who won last year.
Yeah.
LA Rams. There's a famous story about how the LA Rams owner is the reason they got Matt Stafford. The coach and the GM wanted him really bad. They got on the phone with him and they're like, come on, let's do it. He's big money, let's do it now.
Yeah.
Pull the trigger, do it.
Yeah.
Whereas with us, you have Daryl Cates. Daryl Cates doesn't give a shit and
He's
is
like
weird
dead
and is
now
not
at this
invested.
point, yeah.
And it's known that like the year we drafted Nail Yakupov, he wanted to draft Nail Yakupov. And at the end of the day, what the owner says goes.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And so we have to draft Nail Yakupov. Where's Nail Yakupov now? Out the league.
I don't even know where he is, man.
Exactly. And so it's that thing of like, the Oilers are so flawed, so high up, that for me, I personally, like, I don't care about them anymore. My buddy called me a fair weather fan because I'm like, you know what? I'll check back in when they're actually winning.
Yeah.
Because in wrestling, we call people a mark. A mark is a dumb fan. It comes from the circus days, the carnival days, where you would show up at the carnival and basically I would do a magic trick for you, a very basic one. And if you were all, whoa, that's crazy, I would have chalk on my hand and I would say, awesome, man, have a good time, go see my friend over there. And that would leave a chalk mark on your head. That would let all the other booth people know, oh, this guy's easily fooled. This guy's a mark. I can trick him with whatever my game is, and I can work him. So that's where that comes from.
Oh, shit.
So with me, I don't want to be a mark and fall for the Oilers, always losing.
Yeah.
I'm not a mark who's going to be easily fooled into thinking, this year's going to be the year.
Yeah.
This year's going to be... It's not. They're just bad. They are so flawed in so many ways. So this is how I put it, I'm done being a mark for the Oilers.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wait until they're actually good. That's like even this year when they were winning, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then they go on a losing streak, and everyone's like, oh, the sky is falling. But it's like, bro, you can't, like, you're going to lose some games. It's an 82-game season. You know what I mean?
You have your ups and downs in the league.
Yeah. And so that's just like, yeah, I'm not a mark. I'm done being a mark for the Oilers.
Yeah.
And I also just think everyone who is just fascinating. Like, I have buddies who are like, oh, no, man, this is the year.
Yeah,
This is the
this is the year.
And because I've listened to more sports podcasts and learned more about other sports, it's giving me more knowledge about this where I'm like, okay, so, like, the thing of last year, Mike Smith had a crazy good year for a 41-year-old.
Yeah.
They brought him back. So you're telling
Expecting
me
him to do it again.
he had a wild-ass one-off year.
Yeah.
But that just shows bad ownership, bad GMing. You know what I mean? Because if you have a good owner who can see that and recognize that and say, no, GM, we are not coming back with Mike Smith as our GM or as our goalie. Get a new one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that just shows how flawed the organization is. And it's like, well, if we're recognizing this, fuck this. I'm not getting my money. So anyways, yeah, I don't care about hockey, or I don't like the Oilers. I wish I liked hockey, because I do. Hockey, in my opinion, is one of the best sports.
Yeah.
It's just hard to give a shit when your local team is so bad, you know?
So bad,
Yeah.
man. And it's just like all this money being put into it. And it's just like, at the end of the day, it's just a terrible organization. Like you
Well, and
said,
it's so
terrible
expensive, right? Like, they
organization.
build
So
this
expensive.
new arena, and like that's the crazy thing with the Rams, right? They built this new arena, they spent
Yeah.
all this money, but they made sure
That
they
the
were going to
team-
be good for this year in the new arena.
They knew that they wanted to be the Super Bowl, and they were going to invest
Exactly.
all their money into
I
making
literally
that.
have not watched a new hockey game at the new arena, and have no intention of it. I will, if I get offered free tickets, I will go, but I'm not paying money. I'm not paying money
It's
to
like
an organization
$12
like
beers
that.
or $14 beers, whatever it is. It's like, what the?
It's just
See,
stupid.
and that's what, like the Atlanta Falcons they were doing is when they built their huge new stadium. Their biggest thing was we want to be user friendly, so the free Wi-Fi, and then they're
Yeah.
giving out like cheap
Yeah, I've
drinks
seen
and
that. Their
cheap food
deals
and
and
all
stuff
this
like that because they
yeah.
want you to come in.
Yeah.
Whereas with here, the Oilers know they're the only gig in town, right? Whereas in
They
Atlanta,
know they can charge
there's
that
other
much.
stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas, and then so that's just like kind of my like pushback of it as a consumer,
Yeah.
where I'm like, and at the end of the day, fans pay the bills for all these sports.
Yeah.
So I'm making my thing with my money. I haven't bought any of their merch. It doesn't make a difference in the grand scheme of things, no. But I hope that more people will eventually get into that. But that's the thing with a low sports self-esteem like Edmonton, where Daryl Cates is printing cash.
Yeah.
We have nothing else to get invested in. That's why
Exactly.
LA has to bust their ass and do everything to make the Rams good. Because if you don't, fuck, I'm going to go watch the Lakers, Clippers, Dodgers, anyone else.
Well, I
You
feel
know
like at the
what I
end of the day, it's like, do you really trust the owner if like they're sitting there when building a new stadium or arena, being like, hey, if the city doesn't give me $40 million to build this new arena,
I'll just
I'm
go.
out of here. It's like,
What?
I remember my dad was like, okay, go then.
Yeah.
Like, go. If you really don't care about them, just fucking
But
take
again,
the
the rest of the
team
city,
and go.
there's nothing going on here, and
Nothing
that's our
going on.
only identity to the international community /
Exactly.
scene. So it's
Well,
like,
it's like we have the Elks, but it's like that's Canadian.
CFL doesn't give it. CFL doesn't matter.
It,
CFL
yeah,
doesn't
like
matter.
it's not as big as the NFL. Like even for
CFL 's
myself,
a joke.
especially this last year, terrible.
I think this year will be a year on the up and up for them
Yeah.
because like, so
They brought that new guy.
the
in.
CFL, they were the Eskimo. The Elks were great when I was in school. That was the last year they won the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
And that was awesome because they had Chris Jones, who's like kind of like a Bill Belichick of the
Yeah,
CFL.
CFL, yeah.
Ed Hervey was the GM,
Yeah.
former wide receiver, but they fired them after that year. And that for me as a fan, I was like, wait. So you have these guys that are making this like an NFL team, making it more legit,
Yeah.
care about winning. They got fired because they didn't want to let the media in the dressing rooms after games because they was restricting access. So
Yeah.
to me, I go, oh, so you don't care about winning as an organization.
Yeah.
I don't care about you anymore because at the end of the day,
Exactly.
that's all I want.
Yeah.
Just wins. And then this season was so bad.
terrible.
And the other thing was they didn't have a quarterback, right?
Terrible
And if
this
you
year.
don't have if you have a good quarterback, even if you're bad, it's at least fun to watch.
Exactly,
They
yeah.
weren't even fun to watch
No.
this year. My girlfriend's family has season tickets
Yeah.
and they went to many a miserable game.
Yeah.
But now this year they brought back that Chris Jones guy and they brought back a bunch of players. So now I as a fan see that I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
They care about winning again.
and I think,
maybe
like-
I'll go to a game with the boys.
And I think like that was big with like when they transitioned the name. My buddy could talk about this. He's
Yeah.
huge Eskimos fan.
Yeah.
And like it was like when they transitioned this name, they got rid of the tradition. They went down a different path, and that was what kept all these fans. Is like the tradition of the Eskimos,
Yeah.
the glory days, even like recently how good they've been, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like when they went to the Elks, it was like let's forget about all that stuff. Let's go down this new path.
Yeah.
Right. And like for me, it was just like we were thinking about getting season tickets, and I was like, nah, I don't want to get them. Thankfully, I did not last year.
Yeah.
And it's just like now they've kind of gone back to the double E,
And that's the thing.
I love
yeah,
that.
they're
'cause
embracing. And
the
again,
tradition.
you can have the double E. Don't get me wrong. I did
Yeah.
think the antlers on the helmet was like a sick design.
Yeah.
But like, you don't need to get rid of the double E.
No,
Like,
that
they didn't
was
need
the
to
whole
get rid-
concept of keeping the Elks
And
was the double
But that's
E.
smart because if you follow on Twitter now, they're definitely going back to that. They're posting. They're doing some sort of new uniform
Yeah.
unveiling, and so they've been posting pictures of like a helmet from the 60s,
Yeah.
and they're talking about, oh, the double
Well, they
E
revealed
that
it now.
Oh, they did
They
reveal
did
it now.
re- it
Oh,
looks
okay, sweet.
fucking
Okay,
nice,
awesome. I'll have to look
actually.
that
It's
up.
nice.
But yeah, and like, so for them, I'm just like, cool. At least they're doing stuff again. You know what I mean? Whereas
they're
again,
interacting, getting people interested, and like I bought season tickets. Me and
That's
my buddy,
awesome.
Like $140, $150 for season tickets. I was like,
That's not bad at all.
honestly,
That's
if I go to
freaking
4
wild.
games, I'm like, that's
Yeah.
a fucking good deal. And,
And
I go
like,
half
and so,
of them.
and that's the thing. Whereas like the Elks, I'm not going to watch great football. I'm going for the experience. It's just
the
like when
atmosphere.
people come to an independent wrestling show. Like, they're not coming to watch the best quality wrestling.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to give them the best quality wrestling we can.
Yeah.
They're coming for the experience of going to a live event and stuff. If people want to watch the best wrestling, they can go online and find New Japan.
Yeah.
They can watch the best technical
Yeah.
wrestling. But when they come to our event or they go to an Elks event, if they want the best quality football, they can watch the NFL. But when they go, they're going because they want the live experience. They want the popcorn. They want to boo. They want the everything.
They want to get drunk with their buddies. They want to have fun.
But when the Elks were so bad last year, like so bad, it was just like, I don't even like.
Well, I remember like, we went to the game, and I think we just went to one game this year, and we went to fucking Top, and we were on mushrooms and shit like that. And it's like we weren't even watching the game. We were just sitting there talking, and then just
you were there for the
there's a game still.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And so we watch a minute, like 3-0. Okay.
Yeah, they're bad.
We're bad.
They're
It's
bad.
Terrible football. Terrible football. But anyways, man, I think it's time to wrap this motherfucker
Yeah, sorry,
up.
we were going off and off.
Holy
I had a lot
shit,
of fun,
man.
man. This was a blast. Thank you
blast,
very,
man.
very
That was
much,
so
Lee.
much
Time
fun.
flew by.
Any final remarks for Nasty Nate Nixon?
Check me out on Pro Wrestling Tees at Nasty Nate Nixon. YouTube, Nasty NXN. Instagram, Nasty NXN. TikTok, too. I post on there, Nasty NXN. All the same branding across all the ways. And come support me live. We're in Edmonton every Saturday. Real Canadian Wrestling at the Norwood Legion. A stone's throw away. Literally, one big football, Ricky Ray football throw away from Commonwealth.
Oh, that's the one right there, eh?
Yeah,
Oh, shit,
literally right there. And then we run Calgary on Fridays. I'm going to be doing some events. I'm going to be in Winnipeg April 15th for WPW. I'm going to be working with Can-Am Wrestling March 17th and 18th and 24th and 25th. So I've got a bunch of dates coming up. Basically, just follow me on social media, please and thank you. And check this guy out. He's pretty solid and a good hang, too.
You betcha.
Actually, maybe I take that back. Never mind.
No, say follow Nasty Nate Nixon, yo. It's entertaining as fuck to follow.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
It's off the dome. Go check it out.
Escape reality with Matt Z.
Well, Dak, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellent.